Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we finished the first full stage of the Lasan Majoris invasion. And we're now on stage 2, Beachhead. The Star Fort has been successfully purged from all Chaos presence and the key orbital sector above the planet is now secure. Since the Chaos Fleet is currently in no position for another direct offensive, they've shifted their efforts to the other side of the planet, where the Prometheum fields are. To make matters worse, a Drukhari warband has appeared out of nowhere, trying to take advantage of the situation. Oh, so partway through this, we're going to end up fighting Dark Eldar.
The very existence of this filth defiles the Imperium. They may be great in numbers, but if we sever the head, the body will die. Kill their leaders and break their will.
So I was bored, looking for like a board game or a card game or something to play. And I found there was a Resident Evil card game. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's neat. And then I looked at the price, it was like $200. Found out it's over 10 years old, which makes sense considering its expansions ended at Resident Evil 5. But it also kind of sucked because the game had... It introduced mechanics with each expansion, but always the problem with stuff like that is they end up being kind of isolated within the expansion. So if you try to merge them together, the game gets really convoluted and weird. And it's a shame, because I wish they actually made a second edition where they could have had all the newer rules in place. I feel like there's opportunity for a good Resident Evil themed game. You know, something where it's... I'd almost say your maps are random gen and there's like tiles that when you reach an area it flips and exposes a new thing. Some could have like a puzzle built into it that would just be like a dice roll, or maybe it's something where you have to go a different direction and fighting zombies, there's like a loot card or loot deck and there's the pieces would drop. Something like that. This is all just off the top of my head. I think there's definitely possibilities, and given how many games are getting or have gotten some form of board game adaptation, I think it'd be interesting. I know there is a Resident Evil board game. I just remember it being really expensive. I think it was kind of like in the vein of the Dark Souls board game, where it's super expensive because all the miniatures are really high quality. Granted, they're not pre-painted, which... Man, I really hate when they don't pre-paint the stuff. It's like how it is with Zombicide. But I got my own gripes with Zombicide. I don't like that they've done so many exclusives that when you look on like their website for all of the different creatures for like the sci-fi and stuff, especially the sci-fi, it's like, oh yeah, here's 3 bosses you can get in our boxes, and then like 6 exclusive ones that are going to cost you like $200 just for a miniature because you had to go to, you know, the second story bathroom at Dragon Con in 2018 at 2:17 p.m. on the first day.
Set a fine example for their kind, Inquisitor.
Oh wow, I just knocked down everybody. Well, I'm gonna spend a little time exploring and killing and looting. But I just get tired of like the exclusive, gotta be here for this event kind of stuff. I get it, you gotta get people in, gotta make that money. But it really sucks. If anything, I think the fair thing would be to say, hey, these are timed exclusives. For the time being, show up here and you will be able to have this miniature and the rules that won't be available for a year. That's fine. You know, it rewards people for showing up, there's a resale value, or you do what the miniatures game Carnival does, where, I mean, it's not, it's limited edition stuff you order online, but it's like, hey, you can get this guy, and it's a special edition, like, ghost who's made of transparent blue plastic instead of normal. So it's a special version. You know, this is limited stock. Once it's gone, it's gone. But you can still buy the normal version. I think that's a lot more fair to people, and I think it's a big issue in terms of, like, you can make more money. Because, 500 people got this, yeah, but you could sell 5,000. Is it really worth it to cap it at 500 and then be like, well, whoever got it, got it? To me, I'd rather sell the 5,000. And honestly, you can even just sell special edition versions of the stuff. Like I said, that's easy money. People like it, they'll buy a special edition. Look at D&D books. People buy, I know, for semi-recent stuff, Rime of the Frost Maiden, or Rim of the Frost Maiden, they did a alt cover for that, and I'm playing that with some friends, and our DM bought the alt cover edition. I know people who bought the leatherback editions of some of the, like, core rulebooks. I wanted to get the black leather editions of the 3.5 core rulebooks back in the day, but they were super expensive. I still want them, just because they looked really nice. Very nice black leather. I love stuff like that, because it's not like you're really screwing over your player base. You're not like, if you don't get this now, you're never gonna get it. It's like, hey, if you want just a fancier version, here it is. That's not bad. I just don't know if I have any bleeding effects. Okay, silence the guns.
Insertion complete. Transferring target coordinates of hostile artillery units to your tactical sensorium. Silence these guns before the Imperium's finest get pounded into oblivion. Good hunting.
Tying all this board game talk, though, towards 40K, there's actually a new 40K board game coming out. They did one, God, it was years ago, where it included a couple of Space Marine miniatures, and I think it had like a Necron or two. But it was this little board game. Totally threw me off, because I saw it at Target. And I'm like, wait, a 40K miniature in Target, of all places? You don't see that. But they're doing a new one where it's Space Marines having to fight like Chaos Cultists and stop them from setting off some kind of bomb or doomsday weapon. And then the cultists are played by like an AI deck so that everybody gets to be cooperative. And I think that's really cool. I'd love to see more stuff like that. You know, introduce an expansion that gives you some cultist miniatures. Have a little side expansion that adds like a sentinel or some other stuff. Yeah, they're a little pricey then, but then you could introduce a lot of these miniatures and someone can start, collecting a bunch of them, and then, some cultists, sentinel, couple other little things here or there, you could eventually get a very small, you know, renegade Imperial Guard army. Or at least the start of one. You'd have some, like, Primaris Marines, and you could introduce little expansions that add, like, oh, you can do this one and get Space Wolves, or all these little things. And it's a great way to introduce people, because then the people already have the miniatures. Through collecting this other game that they're playing with family or friends, or whatever, they're already building up that collection. So then Games Workshop could be like, hey, you know, you have a lot of these. Here's, you know, the core rulebook. You might want to take a look. And then people could go, oh, I have, you know, a 600-point army already. Cool, I can play this. You know, a friend might have some stuff, and then you can kind of bounce between playing this board game or playing standard kind of tabletop rule stuff. And you can bounce in between. I think it's a great way to introduce people. Because I think that's the biggest... That and painting are the two biggest barriers of entry. They're so rough to players and to consumers that, you know, if you can, even if they're not painted, just introducing a couple miniatures at a time is a great way. Giving them extra use in that, currently in this dynamic it'd be the primary game mode, but then introducing them to the wargaming aspect, giving them that dual purpose. It's like, oh, you know, this isn't a bad little purchase here or there. Then people might start looking at some of the stuff like, oh, I want to, you know, paint these guys or whatever. Plus, I actually really like that idea of, like, a cooperative mode. And there could be, like, a Space Hulk, pseudo-Space Hulk DLC. Or not DLC, just expansion. Where it's like, hey, here's a bunch of environment pieces, and you send in your Space Marines to go fight something.
Target neutralized.
And it could be designed to be pretty random gen.
Not that I'm complaining. The soothing sound of silence.
I think the thing there is Games Workshop would have to be willing to take a hit on some of the miniature costs. Because I remember, like, Kill Team, one Necron commander was I think it was a destroyer, was like $35. And I just sat there looking at it thinking, how the hell is this $35? Games Workshop would have to take per miniature probably a price hit, but I think it would be worth it to get more people in. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just some dude playing a video game. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Just a bait. From a treacherous enemy. Teleport beacon in range.
Alright, let's go stop that last AA battery.
No more primary targets on my Argus scans. Well done. Stand by for extraction.
Okay, Solemn Code. Worthwhile. And that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.